A health alert for you tonight if you're headed to the beautiful beaches of Boca Grande. This is over a red tide algae bloom, a toxic bloom that not only kills marine life, but it can make you sick, especially if you have a history of breathing problems. Fox 4's Calvin Lewis taking you to the island tonight.
Well, I noticed some dead fish I was surprised to see. A little disconcerting.
On the sandy shores of Boca Grande Beach, families can be seen camped out with their parasols. The occasional swimmer taking a leisurely lap in the water. But underneath the surface, a looming problem.
Everywhere I walked down, there was a few of them. I wouldn't say it was where they would have to come and shovel them off. There's just a few here and there. Not bad. Not bad.
On Wednesday, health officials issued a health alert warning the public of a red tide bloom that was sighted near the beach. Jean Carney Nickerson and her family are from Rotunda West. She says this red tide alert is not as bad as one that arrived at the beach back in 2018, where plenty of dead fish washed ashore.
I don't think it's as bad this year. I really don't. I see it that's much, much better. Not as, people seem to be enjoying the beach more and not as concerned about it. So I think it's a good year.
We knew that there was red tide in Tampa, but we didn't realize it was here today.
According to health officials, red tide can be problematic for people who may have mild and short-lived respiratory symptoms. That can be eye, nose, and throat irritation similar to cold symptoms. Some people on the beach we spoke to said they noticed a couple of dead fish along the shore.
They were at the beach the other day, which was down a little bit, and they had a lot of dead fish where they were there. But then we moved a couple spots and we haven't seen anything.
But red tide symptoms can travel through the air. Health officials say those with asthma might experience more severe symptoms and should avoid beach areas, going indoors in an air-conditioned space. As for some of these beachgoers,
I think we're just going to enjoy it. I mean, if it got really bad, we would stay out. But no, I'm not too concerned about it.
No, not at all. Nope. But we're enjoying it, and if it stays just like this, fine. Yep.
On Boca Grande Beach, Calvin Lewis, Fox 4.
It's a beautiful beach. Tonight we're going in depth with more on the impacts of red tide on your health. When a bloom does get close to the coast or even in the bay, it is easy to spot or smell. The smell of dead marine life can be horrible, and it can also irritate your respiratory tract. Doctors don't think it even stops there. Now they're looking at side effects red tide might have on your brain, believe it or not.
The toxin that the red tide releases is a neurotoxin. It damages the nervous system. That's how it kills wildlife, it's how it kills fish, manatees, dolphins. And we know it can affect us as well.
In fact, in the early 2000s, scientists started conducting a 10-year study on the respiratory effects, specifically how it might affect asthma, and they started documenting other symptoms. They looked into emergency room visits between 2005 and 2009, and they discovered a significant uptick in neurological symptoms reported in zip codes right along our Gulf Coast. In the Rosenkamp lab in Sarasota, they're currently looking at 250 people, comparing the level of toxins in the blood to how their bodies are responding.
For instance, we can see antibodies to the toxin in the blood of certain individuals long after the toxin is gone. And one of the things that's very interesting that we've seen already is there are quite big differences in the levels of antibody to the toxin, even when they haven't been exposed for 6 months or so.
One question the researchers are hoping to answer is, are these high levels of antibodies a good thing or a bad thing? And long term, can red tide affect you with other diseases like Alzheimer's and even Parkinson's? Now, more studies are being done to find more effects of red tide, but we want to take this time to remind you, if you're in an area with red tide blooms, you don't want to swim around the dead fish, obvi. You want to keep your pets away from the water as well. If you live close to the area, close your windows, run the AC if you've got it. That red tide, again, can cause respiratory issues such as eyes, nose, and throat irritation.